Hi, my name is Isha Patel, Executive Coding Officer of KITE, and welcome to KITE's free Java course. At KITE, we're on a mission to teach people across the globe the latest coding technologies. Today, we're going to learn about arrays. What are arrays? Arrays are a way to store a list of items. They can only contain the same data types inside an array. There are two ways to define an array. You can create an array using a predefined list of values and assign that to the array, or you can create an entirely new array. Once you declare your array, you can add elements to it and change or access them whenever you want. To create an array in Java, you need to follow this format. Data type, brackets, name of array, and is equal to your list. So this is one of the ways we can define an array with the predefined list. And most importantly, before we declare an array, it's important to import the thing like we did with scanner. So import java.util.arrays. And now we can create our array. So we can create a string array, brackets, that has the name of foods, curly brackets, and then you just list your elements. Make sure in a string array that your elements have to be a string, and each element is separated by a comma. And when we print this out, we get like a really weird number. So if we just print out food, it's gonna look really weird because this is not the proper way to print out arrays. It gives this weird thing. So to properly print out arrays, we have to do arrays.toString, and then inside here you put the name of your array. And it says pizza, fries, burger. And you can also print out the length of your array. You do food, which is the name of your array, dot length. And it gives us a length of 3. But what's important to understand is that length is not always equal to index. It's actually never equal to index. This has a length of 3, but the index works differently. So this does not have an index of 1, 2, and 3. In Java and a lot of computer science languages, index starts with 0. So this first element would have an index of 0. This would have an index of 1. And this would have an index of 2, and so on. It's usually length minus 1. That's the latest index. Now let's declare our array with no predefined list. This is how the format would look. Data type brackets name equals new data type length. So when we don't have a predefined list to attach an array to, we have to create our own new array. But this array must have a predefined length. We must know the length of this array, and it cannot change. We can print out an array with each of the data types that we have learned. So string would be new string, int would be new int, boolean, new boolean, and so on. This has the 5 data types that we learned, and let's just keep the length of 3 for now. Each of these has a different letter, or like this is the name. Each of them has a different name. So now we need to print all of these out. And this is how you do it. Arrays.toString x, y, z, dw. This is for all of these. And over here, it tells you what the default is for each of these data types. So the string default is null. Int default is 0. So when we just have like an array just declared like this with no elements in it, the default element is going to be null for string, 0 for integer, false for boolean, 0.0 for a float and or double, and it's going to be nothing for character. So we'll see when we print this out. We can see this is for the previous problem, but it says null, null, null. That's because the length is 3, and that's your default value. And it says 0, 0, 0, false, 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 and like continue. And for character, there's nothing there. So this is how to declare an array, a new array for each data type. Now let's do an example. Ask the user for 2 arrays of int length 3, find the largest element in each array, and print out the sum. Okay. So first, we're going to create our array. Int brackets array 1 is equal to new int 3. Our second array is going to be the same thing, and we're going to name it array 2. Now that we have our arrays, we need to ask the user for input 3 times so that we can get 3 elements in our array. So we're going to create a for loop for that. For int I equals 0, I is less than 3 because there are 3 elements, I plus plus, ask the user for input. And we're going to store that value as a variable x. So this for loop is going to run 3 times, and it's going to ask the user to input a number 3 times. And every time it does that, we need to make sure we add it to our array. So to do that, you first begin with the name of your array, so array 1, and then you include your index inside these brackets. So inside these brackets, I'm going to put I, and you get to set that to a value. So we're going to have the value equal to x. How this works is basically I is equal to 0 right now. So at the 0th index, it's going to be equal to x. So whatever x is equal to after the first run, it's going to be equal to the 0th index. Then it's going to run again, and I is going to be 1. And x is going to be a different number because it's going to run a second time. So for example, let's say at the first run, the number that the user inputted was 5. So the first element is going to be 5. Now it's going to run again, and I is going to be equal to 1. So at the first index, it's going to be equal to the next number that the user inputs, which is, let's say, 8, and so on, and the last number is 9. So this is how our array is going to look. And we can use the same code for a second array thing. We just got to change this to array 2, and we're going to have int y in here. So we can print each of these arrays out to make sure that we're on the right track. Arrays.toString array 1. You can put 3, 8, 9. That's our first array, 3 and 9. Again, 4, 6, 2. 4, 6, 2. So it prints out each of our arrays. Now let's try to find the maximum number in each array. So we need to create our max variables. So int max1, and we're going to make this equal to the first element in the array. And we'll do the same thing for the next one. So int max2 is equal to array2, 0. So we're going to make it equal to the first number in each array so that it's easier to compare. So now we're going to have a for loop for int I equals 0, I is less than 3, then I plus plus. We're going to see if, we're going to have if statement, if array at I is greater than max1, max1 is equal to array at I. So this is going to compare. So it's basically saying this is equal to the first number. And this is also equal to the first number because I is equal to 0. So if the first number is greater than the first number, then max, now we're changing the value of max is equal to the first number. But they're not because they're equal. So now we're going to change the value of I to 1. So if the second number in the array is greater than the first number, which we declared here, we're going to have max1 equal to the second number. And let's just say that the second number was greater than the first number. So now we have here max1 is equal to the second number. And now I is going to be equal to 2. If index of 2 means the third element. So if the third element is greater than the second element, because over here we just changed the value of max1 to 2, then max1 is going to be now equal to the third element, and so on. And we're going to be doing the same thing for the other loop. So array 2, max2, max2, array 2. And now we have our maximum numbers. And we're also going to declare another one here, int sum equals 0. 0 is just a placeholder. And we're going to write sum is equal to max 1 plus max 2 because we wanted to print out the two maximum numbers. So we're going to have system.out.println sum. So let's say it's 9, 7, 6, and you do 2, 5, 3. And it prints out 14. So the biggest number over here, because these 3 make an array and these 3 make another array. So biggest number here is 9, biggest number here is 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. This is how our code works. We declared our arrays, we added elements to each array, then we found the maximum value in each array, and then finally the sum. So this is how to use arrays in Java. Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure to join our Discord link below if you have any questions or want help or answers to any exercises. There you'll have access to an open forums and can interact with the vast coding community. Also, follow our Instagram as well.